it's what you talked about at the very beginning, right? Like it's are you waking up and going, fuck, like not again, or are you waking up and going, hell yeah,
Yeah.
again?
What's up, everybody? I am your host, Bryce Alsten, and this is the very first episode
Number one. That's right.
Very first episode of the Spark Seekers podcast. I'm very excited to be doing this. Been wanting to do it for a long time, and here we finally are with my first guest and good friend, Chris Taylor.
What's up?
Yep.
What's going on?
Thank you for being here, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having
Appreciate
me, man.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
excited, dude. What a concept. Like, what a good idea for a show. Like, super happy for you for creating it, and honored to be the first guest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we're at Chris's studio, Taylslate Studio.
That's right.
Chris is the founder of Taylslate.
That's right.
A 360-degree podcast production company for influencers, athletes, celebrities, businesses, and providing them with the number one way to tell their story.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I think, yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. Like, I kind of tripped and fell into this business, and like from what I figured out pretty early on was that, you know, that they don't really have the opportunity to say speak authentically in their voice, right? Like it's if you've seen an athlete, for example, it's, you know, what is Stephen A. Smith saying about him, or what is, you know, this person saying about him, or that person, like this writer. So being able to provide like a platform that they can just sit down. I mean, all the smoke is a perfect example, right? With Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. Those guys get 100% authentic 100% of the time, and it's them telling the exact story as they want to tell it. So to be able to provide a platform for athletes, influencers, anybody who wants it is a dream.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're a big podcast fan, right? You've been studying this game for years now.
Yeah, I was just a fan like a decade ago.
Yeah. Before it was cool.
I mean, I had like heard about it. I checked some of them out. Like, I was just interested in like the thought of it. You know, it was like YouTube, I guess a decade's 2012, 2011. So like YouTube vlogging like was sort of coming alive. I was just getting into college, and like it was sort of coming around. It was sort of becoming a thing, but not really to the level that we see it today. And that was, a lot of the influencer marketing stuff started in like 2013, 14, 15. So podcasting was like this, and I grew up with talk radio. So like my dad, you know, like my dad always had it on all the time when we were driving around. My mom had it on. So
the origin of podcasts.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I always grew up with storytelling and, you know, listening to people speak through audio. And so when I found podcasting, it was like, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So I started listening to a lot of the early shows, you know, Adam Carolla, Joe Rogan was like, still obviously massive now, massive then. Mark Maron, you know, some of the people who started a long time ago, but not like super into it to where I was like, this is all I listened to. Fast forward to 5 years ago. Now I'm like all in. That's all I listen to. I stopped listening to music almost. So it's like, it's so taken over my life, but it's like that's the point. So
yeah, that's amazing. And I think that's like the perfect transition into, let's introduce this concept of spark seekers, right? So it comes from the idea that was introduced in the Pixar movie Soul.
Great movie,
right?
by the way.
I think the latest movie from Pixar, it gets very deep. It's I think it was really designed for adults, disguised as a kid's movie. And if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend it.
Highly.
But the concept is that we all have a spark, right? And we may not identify it right away. It may take time, but it's there. And we all have the ability to find it and cultivate it. And the spark is different than your purpose or your reason for being here, your calling, right? Because these are titles that put a lot of pressure on us to assume that we have a purpose to be here. We have a calling, something that we're supposed to do or contribute to the world. It's, you know, this artificial title that puts a lot of pressure on a lot of people that they need to be something or find that. And so the concept of the spark is just identifying. The spark is the sake of living, the enthusiasm for living for the sake of living.
Right.
So when you wake up, what gets you excited? And generally people who have found that spark and have cultivated it and turned it into a fire, their entire day is based around that spark, right? But for a lot of us, especially people who haven't identified it yet, you may not know why you wake up and what you're going to be excited to do that day, but there is going to be a little kernel of something. And the goal here is to identify what that is and nurture it and grow that spark into a flame, into a fire, something that consumes you and drives you every day to be passionate for life and be excited for living.
Yeah.
And clearly you have identified your spark and you stopped listening to music. You have a studio, and this has become your business and your life.
Pretty much. I mean, it's funny, like, spark's such a good word because I think spark can mean multiple things. So spark can be like don't get me wrong, I love podcasting. I still love music too. Like, music fans don't get mad at me.
Sure.
But like, I still, I listen to music. Come on. But I do listen to podcasts in the gym, which some people will probably find weird. But efficiencies, as you like to talk about.
Yep.
So always learning.
Eliminating inefficiencies.
That's right. That's right. But like, to me, I think what I figured out pretty early on was that I get excited being around people and being able to interact with people through the means of a conversation. And so a lot of what I did was to figure out how to facilitate more conversation. Like, I started in sales. I guess I sucked. I got fired, but
life is sales, right?
Life is sales, of course. But like, I thought sales was like where I needed to go in order to have conversations, because I could talk to everybody one-on-one. But then I figured out, like, cold calling sales, which you're going to have to do no matter what. So no one's getting out of that. But like, burning and turning for a tech company wasn't really what drove me, what made me excited. But what does get me excited is having that conversation. So being able to have a lengthier discussion or be a part of a lengthier discussion, I knew that inherently I just wanted to do that more and more and more. And every single day I woke up, I knew that, like, okay, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. It's hard. Growing a business is hard, but it definitely makes sense. When I get up and I look at like the day that's ahead of me, I'm like, oh, these are all things that I am excited to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't just wake up and these are going to happen today. You've planned this.
Yeah.
You've gotten to a point now where like that spark has become more than a spark.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's turned into this that we're sitting in. So, I'm just thankful that I found it. I think it's in finding it's tough, right? Like, that's what I think a lot of people are searching for.
The
like
identification
passion,
process.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've got like Micro, who talks about dirty jobs, and he's, it's his thing is like, not everything is about passion. Well, maybe, I mean, not everything in podcasting is about passion for me. And there's a lot of things that I don't like to do in podcasting. I have to, like, whatever dirty work has to be done.
Yeah,
maybe
set up the cameras.
Exactly.
Sweep the floors.
Exactly.
Get it ready
Keep
for the
it
next
clean.
one.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of things that are not glamorous.
Right.
But it's that underlying goal of like being able to drive conversation to a broader audience that 100%. I know every single thing that I do, it leads to that end goal. So
yeah,
that's what makes it matter.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's take it back, right? Where and when do you think you started to identify that spark? Because I think it's so interesting. I think there's different ways that people identify that spark, right? And there's lots of different factors as we grow up. There's our parents, there's our nature, there's our nurture. How much is it, internal to you versus external versus some accidental occurrence that you met someone that introduced you to this, right? And so there's so many different ways that I think you can find your spark.
For sure. I mean, that's how I ended up in podcasting. So, I mean, it depends what we're defining as my spark, right? I mean, podcasting is definitely, I would say, fan the flames of that spark. Mm-hmm. But my spark is definitely, like, what sparks me is doing something like this or being a part of this. And being, whether that's facilitating any sort of conversation in any way, shape, or form. And I found that...
And podcasting is just one medium, vehicle to accomplish
Correct.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I mean, to me, it's the preferred vehicle medium to do it. When I look at the industry, we're digressing, but when I look at the, vehicles of delivery for content,
sure,
podcasting to me is the best medium to get a full conversation, authentic experience across. which has probably been said 900 times on a podcast.
Sure.
But we'll say it 900
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I knew pretty early on that I really liked public speaking and I really liked engaging with people. My mom will tell a story of like when we were going to see houses when I was like 3 years old, I would like walk up to the realtor and be like, Christopher James Taylor, nice to meet you. And like, so
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing.
So like, I was always sort of outgoing and interested in conversation and personable. I mean, I remember when I was old enough to start going to bars, cause I never did before that. I'd love to just kind of go and sit and talk to the person next to me, or it's, wherever the opportunity arises. I just knew that I needed to be having conversations all the time. Some people don't. Some people want to be focused on a craft and a skill. I guess my craft, my skill was speaking, was engaging, was, learning from someone. And so, I just wanted to do whatever I could to cultivate that. And it started off with sales, basically, like strict sales jobs, and those didn't work. And I moved down to LA, just to work in the industry for a while. And through happenstance, through a really good friend of mine, I was introduced to my former boss and started working with him. And then I always wanted to also do something on my own and make a company for myself. And so 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
And this is just the start.
Yeah. Ideally, hopefully it's not the end, but
yeah. No, far from it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I guess like it was pretty early on. I mean, I like to think of myself as pretty self-reflective, like introspective,
analytical.
Exactly. Yeah. Like have a lot of conversations with myself in the mirror, or just thinking, journaling, whatever it may be. And I think that's huge too. You just got to pay attention to what makes you like,
what makes you tick, right?
Yeah. Like your skin crawl a little bit. Like, yeah, I mean, it could be like, it could be like science class. Like it could be, right. I always loved English class. I love writing. So I thought maybe I want to be like a journalist, or maybe I want to like write something. Maybe it's, I don't know, whatever else, whatever other things are. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just got to pay attention, I think. And you got to know like, let's scratch this itch, basically. Let's just scratch this itch and see where it goes. And if you come up with, I don't think so. Shift. Who cares? Change.
And I think it's easier when you are self-analytical, right?
Yeah.
Because you can, at the end of the day, you sit down and you evaluate what you did, how you go about your day, what, makes your skin crawl, what makes you tick, right? And so I think, that's a great way it's an advantage that you have over a lot of people. But you said something that made me think about, like, the other thing about the spark is that it's not tied to success, right? Like, finding your spark, cultivating your spark, and living in an excited way doesn't have to be tied to achieving any sort of typical success, right?
Yeah.
Because as long as you are happy and you're fulfilled, then who is anyone to judge and say that you haven't found success, right? It's such a subjective word.
Yeah.
And for you, if it's having conversations with people that gets you going, the success will come generally, and whether that's financial recognition, some people don't need that. I want to be able to sit down and have conversations. If you are really into carving figures out of bars of soap, right. And you don't make any money doing that, I don't care, because if you love that and that's what gets you excited, and when you have a conversation with someone, that energy like passes through and is very evident. I'm so curious how, why and how did you understand yourself to that point, and
how did you grab a bar of soap and we're like, let's carve
figurines? Where did that start? Were you in the shower one day
right.
or what? You never know, and there's so many interesting people out there.
I mean, that's exactly right. Like, I think that's the funny thing about LA. And before I say that, I think like it really is. I mean, there's so many interests. There's so many things that drive people to do, shitty job. Can we curse on this podcast?
Yeah, of course, dude. It's encouraged.
Yeah. Shitty jobs, and things that, piss them off from day to day. Because they have an interest in this or an interest in that. And then they know that this is a means to an end. Like, I mean, I did this. I'm not like a hero for it or anything. But there's gives and takes to everything, right? Like if your thing's carving figurines out of soap, to use an example, like maybe there's like super expensive soap and like that's the best figurine carving soap. I don't know, but like, and maybe
and there's
you have
a market for it.
That's
whatever,
right.
right?
There's a market for it, and like, and you have to work in order to get that, and so that's what you're doing drives you towards your spark, and then your spark then fuels the drive, and it's a cyclical thing that helps you get through this thing called life.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, the funny thing about, you bring up what is a measure of success. I mean, I think it's what you talked about at the very beginning, right? Like are you waking up and going, fuck, like not again? Or are you waking up and going, hell yeah, again?
I think you can be seeking your spark and have identified your spark and still wake up and say, fuck, because I know I've been there, right? Like there was this period of my life when I graduated school where I think, and this was around the time I started to identify that spark. I started my first company, but I was still working 9 to 5. And I would wake up and say, fuck, I got to do this again, right?
Yeah.
But that was such a key situation that drove me to like a desperate place to find that spark, right? So sometimes you end up in these situations where you're forced to find your spark because the alternative is just like eternity of waking up saying fuck.
Yeah.
And that's not fun, right? But that's okay to do that as long as you are actively making strives to pursue what you want to do, right?
But you would classify your, like, traditional definition, you would classify that first business that you started as a success. Traditional, it was profitable, you made money at it.
Sure.
More or less.
More or less, right?
Yeah.
It could also equally be looked at as a failure, right? But I don't think, and everyone has said this too, right? I'm the 901th guy to say that failure is not failure. Failure is a lesson that you put in your toolbox and bring with you to the next job.
Right.
And so because of that, no, it wasn't. There were failures along the way. Overall, the outcome was net positive, and that was the stepping stone to get to where I am now, where I wake up and it's not thinking, wow, I have to do this so that I can do this. It's like, wow, I get to do this now. Like, I'm here now.
For sure.
And so my point with that is that I think it's okay to know that you have your spark, but still wake up knowing that there's something you don't want to have to do, because eventually, if you put enough time and effort and passion towards that spark, I think you can grow that into a fire, and then you can start to push away the parts of your life that you don't enjoy and replace them inevitably
with fire. Yeah. Throw the water out.
Exactly.
Build more fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, I'm sure, I've talked to you off air. I know that you're passionate about what you're doing right now. But it's not like there's not days where you wake up going, fuck.
Sure.
I mean, it's like there's pretty much I should say probably every day there's I throw a fuck out. You know, like, oh shit, oh god, that's
well, it
coming
can't
out.
all be like rainbows and unicorns.
It's definitely not.
You don't want that.
No. That's not that's not a fulfilled life, I think, if it's all rainbows and unicorns. And it's not like I don't think that's like a spark. Like if it's all really like beautiful and easy, and like a spark takes work to make a fire,
right.
It needs air, it needs oxygen, you need to fan it, you need to
effort,
feed it, you need to put twigs on it, you need to like
pay attention
to it. You have to cultivate.
You can't just sit there and like have beers with your friends around the fire and then you fall asleep and it goes out, right? Like it's effort to keep that fire going.
That's right.
Day in and day out.
That's right. Yeah. So like, I mean, that's what I'm thankful for. You said it best, right? Like it's, the lessons learned, like you bring those to the next experience. And so, luckily for me, the next experience is the next day. And so it's just, every day is a new challenge, a new opportunity to cultivate that spark, to build a bigger fire, to help. I mean, what's cool for me in the business I'm in is like, how do I help more people build more fires? How do we find a way to, ignite what you like? Talk about the things that you want to talk about, or, how do I provide a platform to do this, whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, so that's, like you said, I mean, that's what it takes is work every day and making sure that, you are pushing that water away so that fire can grow.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the projects that you're working on.
Let's
within
talk
this
about it.
fiery inferno.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, I came from a business that was doing a lot of cool things with influencers. So when I started out, a lot of my contacts were influencer managers and agents. I never, like, in a million bazillion years thought I would be talking to TikTokers and like Instagram famous people, but lo and behold, here we are.
Yep.
I mean, they're so talented. I know they get a bad rap, some of them, but the ones I work with are really talented. So if you guys see this, it's this for you.
Even if they have dangly earrings.
That's right. That's right. Dude, I got the chance to work with some really talented females. You know, a lot of two of my biggest shows are that I've worked with are female hosted Oddvice and All Access. Oddvice is with Kristen McAtee. Sorry, Kristen, and Alex Coote. That's a really awesome show that is kind of situates itself as like a big sister thing. So they have the conversations that you would want to have with your big sister. It's really cool. We built this together, them and my brother and I, who I started the company with 2 years ago. We built this awesome set that looks like their childhood bedroom. It's since come down because they moved to New York, but you can go Oddvice on YouTube and see it. It's a really awesome set. And they sit there and they talk openly and honestly about all things that, you know, you would really need a big sis for. Times of the month, boys, mental health struggles. They play fun. I mean, it's a really, really good show. Like, they have such a way with authenticity that I think I would wish that I in a million years could have. They're so vulnerable and so honest that it's really special. And you can see that, like, in their comments and in their, you know, they have a great Patreon following, and that doesn't just happen on accident. Like,
right.
That's super.
It's because they're so authentic.
It's so authentic.
Yeah.
You don't pay someone $5, $10 a month because, like, whatever. Maybe you do. I mean, maybe you're, want to support, and good for you. But, like, I mean, they've now amassed a really good following on that site, and that's a testament to how good, how well they treat their audience and how, upfront and, like, forthwith they are.
Yeah.
All Access is another phenomenal show. Just starting off, we launched the show. I think the trailer came out the 17th, and the first episode of February, and the first episode came out the 22nd. And they're insanely talented. They took to podcasting like no one I've ever seen. I mean, they are so gifted at interviewing, and because theirs is more guest focused. Oddvice doesn't have as many guests. But they are such gifted interviewers. They're so talented, so personable, cheery, fun. Like, it's just so exciting being able to get to work. And they're both just turned 21. I mean, there's, like, you can just tell, like, just stars. And so, like, and you see, like, I get, like, excited talking about,
the passion
is there.
Yeah, it's incredible.
They are so incredibly talented. Love their show. And, that's just like for them, it's just the sky's the limit, and they're just beginning and scratching the surface. Kristen's been a YouTuber for a long, long time.
My ex-girlfriend used to watch, and so I inevitably would end up watching. And that's where, like, so you're talking about the authenticity. That's not like a show that I would normally be watching on my own, right? But like, because I was in that situation, I saw a lot of it, and I felt like, wow, this is very unique and very vulnerable. Like, someone just putting it all out there. And I think it really changes if you take the time to watch someone like this put it all out there, the stigma around content creators, right? It's like, there are people out here doing this for, like, very good reasons, right? Some people are just doing it for the numbers and the clout and the excitement and the lifestyle that comes with it. But she's, so authentic and talks about real issues and provides that type of big sister advice. So that's awesome.
It's huge. I mean, you're so right. I mean, people say it's a saturated market and, like, whatever. I mean, don't say that because that ruins my business. But
well, that just means there's more room for business.
That's right. That's right. But, like, I mean, these, like, content creators are inherently incredibly talented. Like, they, anybody who can sit in front of a camera and be engaging is pretty damn talented. Like, we're sitting here in front of cameras now.
Yeah.
And it's, it's
and we're damn talented.
and they're dead talented.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. That's
that's
right. But I mean, there's a barrier to it, and it's not for everyone. And the people that I've worked with they're so gifted, and they're so good at what they do. And I'm frankly honored to be a part of it. Yeah, I mean, so those are two of the female hosts that I've worked super closely with most recently. Four of the female hosts, two different shows. Another show from my past company that I really enjoyed starting. I don't think it's running anymore. It was the 1422 podcast with Chark and Ty and Chark. That was a really fun show. Both young black kids from Atlanta. Unique for me being a white kid from Sacramento.
Sure.
So just the
Good juxtaposition.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it was just interesting to work with them. Again, two insanely talented young men. Ty's a phenomenal hip hop artist. Chark is an influencer in his own right. Influenced probably some of my dance moves in some ways.
We got to see those later.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but
that'll be on the Patreon.
Yeah,
content.
That's right. You got to subscribe for that. But they're super funny. And that's another. Their manager who I got to work with, Jack, was really awesome guy too. And again, it's just like being in this industry, being in the position that I'm in, working in this medium, like just getting to meet interesting people from places that I wouldn't necessarily be able to get to meet them from. So super lucky. And then I think the one that I do need to talk about has become like a really close friend of mine. His books are up there if you can see him, David Nurse. Mm-hmm. We're working on growing his show every single day, but he talks to some of the most incredibly gifted like people as far as like mindset and being able to overcome like a moment, pick that moment. And you want to talk about spark, like people that found a spark, pivoted and go as per his book, and broke through, to use another title of the book. Mm-hmm. But he is. I mean, again, that like genuine, like he's become like such a close friend and like someone who, I mean, we work together in a lot of ways, but I can also rely on, for inspiration, for motivation, for, looking at things from a different light, because he scrambled for, oh man, I don't even know how many years. He'll tell you the story. He loves to talk about it. But, I mean, just to get his whole dream was to get into the NBA as a coach. He played D1 basketball, but his whole dream was getting to coach the NBA. And that is just a grind that like nobody really understands. Yeah. And it's just like he was sleeping on couches, teaching camps for 5-year-olds. Like, I mean, this guy who played D1 college basketball, teaching a camp for 5-year-olds in the middle of rural Iowa, in the summer. Like, it's just
you have to do the things
like
that are embarrassing sometimes, And
exactly. Yeah, I mean, he like that spark, like to bring it full circle, talk about seeking spark. Like he like reaffirms that I know I've found my spark.
Yeah.
Because I see how hard he works for his spark, and so now he's an incredibly gifted public speaker and is doing huge talks all over the world. And I mean, yeah, it's just his show's phenomenal. Talks to like incredibly cool and important, not like important, like, ooh, I'm very important, just like important content.
Right.
Like, it's very important content for people to listen to. Yeah, and there's a myriad of other shows in there that I've worked with, and they'll probably get mad that I didn't mention them by name, but
shout out to
all of them,
everyone involved along the journey.
Yeah. Just, I mean, it's just been, it's been cool. Like we said, like, it's just cool to be able to work with people who are so talented.
Yeah.
Lance Bass is another one, not out yet, so probably have to cut that, but
sure.
But yeah, I mean, just be able to work with talented people and be able to foster conversation. I mean, I just, I don't know what else I want to do.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So then there's the identification part, and then there's the cultivation, right?
Yeah.
So what are some things you do on a day-to-day basis besides just, and not say going through the motions, but like, you're scheduling meetings with people, you're networking, you're doing the things that you need to do, but maybe how do you reinforce the idea day in, day out, like, this is my spark and I'm chasing it, right? Like, how do you get yourself excited? What are some of the tactics?
That's a good question. I try to make sure it always stays fun. So like, I'm always trying to I'm always trying to find a new show. I'm always trying to like find a new concept. I'm trying to like look at the traditional podcast, twist it on its head, use it like I want podcasting to be Play-Doh, and like I get to shape whatever I want out of it. And so, you know, it like so long as I know that we're having conversations like you and I are having right now, like, and we're just shooting the shit and like, you know, talking about interesting stuff, then we're in a good place. We're in a good starting place. And now I can use this, me and the clients, and, you know, we can use this to mold or whatever it might be after that. So that's my thing, dude. I'm like, I can't take myself too seriously. Otherwise it's over. Like I lose focus. I'm not like, I'm a very goofy, like happy-go-lucky dude. And I don't want life to be serious. Like you get to do it once. I want to work hard and you know, I want to be a success. I want to build the best possible company that I can. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'm definitely going for the jugular of the podcast industry, but like I'm gonna do it laughing and smiling the whole way. So like, you know,
cracking jokes.
Exactly. 100%. So like that's for me if the moment it becomes not, you know, we're not like making,
It's
you know,
not fun
just,
anymore.
it's not like, and fun, like we said before, like sometimes it's not going to be fun, but like, you know, if I'm sweeping the floor post podcasts or whatever in the studio here, like I'm going to maybe sing like, you know, Seven Dwarfs song or something like that, you know, whatever it is, whatever it is to like
Miley
keep,
Cyrus,
you know,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. Like party in the US sweep and just like, you know, like, so whatever it is to just keep it light and keep the weight off the shoulders. You know, that's what I do. That's how I, and if I can keep doing that day in and day out, I'm good. I don't foresee it stopping. So that's my thing. Just make it fun. Whatever you're doing. Like I probably why I got fired from the sales job too. Is like, it's just like, I'm an office guy. Like I just, what's
water
up?
cooler
What's up?
banter,
What's up?
Yeah.
So they probably like, look, man, it's not working, and we need a little more seriousness in here. So they said thanks, but no thanks. But you know, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, you created that reality.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
Like,
I basically
manifested that.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you have this spark and you've got it going, right, and every day it's growing and it's becoming bigger and bigger, how are you spreading that, right? And is that important to you when it comes to having that spark, right? Like, is it helping other people? Is it building a team? You know, sharing common interests? What? Yeah,
I mean, I think so. Everything, like all my interactions are external for the most part. Minus internal ones. But like, so like when you say like how you're spreading that fire, like,
well, and maybe you're not intentionally, right? Maybe it's.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I think it is intentional. I mean,
right.
People are coming for podcasting, for conversation, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you're the guy who knows how to create conversation and make it the best. So yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna just exude the energy that, like, I love conversation. I love podcasting. I love this medium, and I want to exude that every single day. Like when we talk about Ozra and Aisha, the All Access show, like we do that at a different studio than here. So I want to make sure that, like, my job for them as clients, like, I want to make sure everything is handled. Like, they come in, they have just the best time. There is no worry, no stress, no reality in which they're thinking like, oh God, we got to go podcast again. Like, no, all we're doing is sitting down and having a chat. Like, this is fun.
The camera's on and,
exactly,
and the headphones are on.
Right. And so, you know, tens of thousands of people are going to hear it, but that's neither here nor there. But like, we're having fun. Like, we're sitting down having fun, chatting about whatever may come to our minds. So like, I want to make sure that I am putting an energy out there that can be reciprocated in that manner.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to use my flame, my spark, my fire to like make sure that's always radiating. When I'm talking to, you know, whether it be Fabrizio, who's doing any of the editing, or talking to anyone else that, you know, is working on stuff internally, I want to make sure, especially as someone who's trying to create a culture of a company, I want to make sure that, you know, that love of collaboration and conversation and, you know, authenticity is always coming out. I want to make sure that this is a company that people feel safe to be themselves, feel, comfortable to talk about, this is going on. Hey, we had an issue with this, and I didn't want to tell you. No, I would tell me the problem, and let's just solve the problem, because we're just here to, fly around 100 miles an hour and make mistakes, right? I mean, you played sports, so like that's your coaches always said, like, I'd rather you make a mistake at 100 miles an hour than 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So like, as long as we're going around and doing things that we love, and sure, we're gonna fumble a couple times, but like, if I'm pushing that energy, like we're good, we're having fun. This is a fun thing. We're serious as well, but like we're making content for fuck's sake, like like, come on, guys. So let's just get after it.
When it comes to seeking your spark, it doesn't like we talked about. There doesn't need to be success, whether financial, business related success, but oftentimes there is,
sure.
Especially in your
hopefully,
case, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, because then you don't have to worry about like the typical the food, shelter, companionship,
the necessities,
right? Like that all of that comes,
the bare necessities,
right? The bare necessities. So, for most people, I think seeking your spark eventually becomes building something that provides income for you and those around you, right? So obviously you're well on the path to doing that, and you're building your company. What do you see in the future, right? I'm sure you're manifesting and you're envisioning
constantly.
Yeah. What does that look like? And it's, we've had conversations before about like, what the podcasting space and not just that, but the media space, right? And then generally people will start with a podcast, and then it'll become so wildly successful. Maybe they'll sign some people and they'll build this conglomerate around them. And then you've got the bar stools and,
Yeah, I mean without trying to give too much away.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give some of it away.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna keep the audience waiting. I mean, my big thing, like, when I like power to the people, basically. Long story short, there's a lot of great companies in the podcasting space, but they, and tends to happen in Hollywood is gatekeeping. Massive networks, conglomerates, they group up, they own the rights, and you really just get, like, unfortunately, like a saturation of the same things over and over and over again. I am trying to read the tea leaves as best as possible, as best as a 29-year-old young man can. I love audience-supported content because I think that, while advertisers have a role to play 100% in the future of content and in advertising products to, people who would want to buy them, I think we are, we're kind of stuck in this place where advertisers are dictating content,
right,
dictating time length, dictating what is part of the conversation, what is not, because they'll, and it's free to do this, of course, but they dictate where their dollars go. And so if you're after those dollars in specific, you need to, you have to shift enough to fit that mold. And even like, obviously there's things that are beyond the pale of conversation, but like even a gentle shift, I worry about changing that authenticity. So, when we talk about fan supported content, I think that, the little guy out there, the quote unquote little guy, like can amass with a group of other, like-minded or people, or, maybe they all talk about, basketball, or they all talk about whatever, or badminton, or bird watching, or making soap figurines or something. Yeah. So like,
that one's not going to die.
That's what I'm not damn right. I'm a huge soap figurine fan.
I'm going to find someone who does that.
Right,
that will be episode 134. I promise you. We will talk to the world's best soap carver.
I hope so, man. Yeah. So like finding a way to be able to provide a platform for the most popular people. That's my whole goal. And how we get there is a long, windy road. And like, if we had another 5 hours, I could probably try and dissect it. But, I mean, that's the
power
thing.
To the people,
power
right?
to the
like
people.
Elimination of the the titans who are the advertising agencies,
Yeah.
the brands, the companies that if you're not aligning with the message that they want to share, then you're the funding for your show, right, is now gone.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
just like, I want to be able to provide this experience to as many people as want it, And like, I mean, I'm a big believer in competition, breeds excellence. So like,
Sure.
we're all competing in this marketplace. We're all, not all content creators are made equal. Not all content creators are made the same. So like, there's competition. People will rise, people will fall. Think they'll be up here for 1 minute and then they're gone the next. So like, there's plenty of room to expand and grow content, you know, and it's exciting. It's nerve wracking because it's interesting to see what will happen. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I mean, this is why it's kind of a great, like, why I love this concept so much, is because like the whole goal is just to like, I'm just trying to be a fan for the Flames. Like,
Sure.
so like, like if I can help in any way, shape or form, I'll get my fan out. I'll get my, I'll start blowing on the fire. Like,
Yeah.
breathe. So yeah, I mean, that's my goal. That's the future. I've told Fabrizio this, I've told a number of people this, but like, if there's one award I'd ever want to win as a company, it's best place to work.
Love that.
That's
Culture.
Yeah.
And I hear that when you talk about,
Yeah.
what you're doing and how you're sharing that and what you're providing to people.
Yeah, that's really it for me. I mean, sure, it'd be nice to like make Forbes, fine, but like I won't say no, but like but like, yeah, I mean, that's at the end of the day, like, and this is a product of like growing up, seeing, the way that work has been done is going, and especially like being from California and being, growing up in kind of a tech area, being from Sacramento, like tech is very prominent because the Bay Area is right there. So seeing what those companies do, like they started as like, the best place to work, and there's still great places to work, don't get me wrong, but there is underlying all of that, there's a general like lack of work-life balance and a lack of like fun.
Yeah.
So to be able to provide an environment where people are just having the best time and creating the best possible stuff that's the synergy I'm looking for.
Yeah. And speaking of the tech, and then also talking about, ambitions, goals, future, without uncovering your secret plans, and going back to the advertising dollars,
Right.
it seems like, as creators continue to monetize, right? And there becomes more and more methods for monetizing, whether it's ads within your content or paid exclusive content platforms, whether it's Patreon, OnlyFans, whatever other platforms out there exist. It almost seems inevitable, and let me know if you have any insights into this, the crypto, the NFT space coming into the creator world, the music world, right? Like being able to, and then your fans, your followers truly have the ability to support you and drive what you're doing.
For sure.
Because if they can buy in to a portion of who you are and what your content is, right?
For sure. I mean, so Rockfin is a platform that is leveraging that technology in an interesting way. They focus. The founder sold Flow TV, which I don't know if you're familiar with. It's like very wrestling focused.
Okay.
It's like the biggest, like collegiate wrestling, professional wrestling, like thing.
So very niche.
Very niche, but like massive audience, not only in the U.S. but for sure globally.
Yeah.
So he sold that, and then created Rockfin, which is like a Web3 enabled. I don't know. I mean, that's the distinction between Web3, Web2 with crypto. I don't know.
Yeah.
But not to get too far in the weeds, it's a crypto enabled platform that allows creators to create, to use that coin and then make money in a more substantial way than say, than YouTube AdSense, for example. Just more, so it's more creator focused, and of course, their audience can tip and things like that with the coin and what have you. I think like you have to be looking towards that. You have to be looking towards like as much
Or
as
you're gonna miss something, right?
Yeah, I mean, as much as it pains me, like now it's probably flopped, so like we'll see what happens. But like I'm scrambling to figure out how to get podcasts in the metaverse. Like I'm like was like my big thing for like 5 months was like, okay, well, what do I need to do that? How do I record it this way? How do I get this into that medium?
Yeah, right.
In a
You
cool
have to be
way.
thinking
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And so you just have to adapt to what's coming. I mean, I love the crypto ethos. I love like what's around it. I think the decentralization of, again, power to the people. I mean, so like it speaks to everything that I kind of want to drive. How that works exactly remains to be seen. I think people are gonna, Theta is is it Theta? Yeah, former YouTube exec started Theta, and they're working on that in that realm, in the content realm. There's a number of other ones that are doing something similar. So it's definitely being figured out.
Yeah.
I think I get wary just because like it's so content itself, like the IP of which is the big thing to me. And so you as the creator need to continue to own that IP, and that is up to you how you want to share it amongst your audience. If you want to let them in on a piece of that, by all means. But
Right.
if we have these massive companies still coming in and buying in like whole cloth, like, or whole swaths of like these creators and taking them over to that platform,
Yeah.
what are we really doing but like making it look a little different? So
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, the time will tell, and people will hit it and people will miss it, and people will fall on their face and like make a big mistake, but that's the cool part. So
and that brings in the idea of like being reliant on a platform, right?
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people have fallen victim to that. For example, like the Nelk Boys, right? Like,
Yeah.
they get all their views on YouTube, but YouTube doesn't agree with what their messaging is, and so no more ad revenue. Right. And so you can no longer, as a creator, rely on the platform, and you don't want to have to worry about biting the hand that feeds you at the sake of your authenticity and what your viewers want to see.
100%. I mean, the issue with YouTube, like, I mean, YouTube's great. Don't get me wrong. Love YouTube. Just want to be clear. I like YouTube. But yeah, I mean, it is the best. It's the second biggest search engine in the world behind the company that owns it, Google.
Sure.
Like it is by far and away the best video viewing platform out there. There's no competitor in my mind. There's a bunch of second place, and then there's a clear first. Yeah, I mean, they get to dictate that, but then to Nelk's credit, they also were able to build off of the back of their YouTube view count an incredible brand in full send. So they're selling, like, I think they're coming out with supplements. They got merch out the ass. They got
Gyms,
they got gyms,
events,
NFTs.
Like,
it's bananas what they've been able to create, and that is a testament to building audience, and that is created through, again, authentic content. So like, these platforms, they're dominant, and we're in the best age for content literally ever, because there's all these free platforms that you can just throw shit out on whenever.
Yeah.
Like, you could just put it out.
And it may not hit on one, but it'll go viral on TikTok, and then that'll,
exactly. And
translate
like,
over to the others.
just put it out. Just, like, I'm not like a massive Gary Vee fan, but he says one thing that
I like this road you're going down. Just put it out there.
Yeah, right? He said, like, he talks about artists, like music artists, and he's like, stop sitting on songs. Stop it. Like, just put a single out, just keep going constantly. Because every social media manager or whoever has any sort of audience has talked about this. You have to be consistent, always in people's faces, in order to win this game. And so, like, sitting on content, sitting on this, sitting on that, worrying about, like, oh, is YouTube going to take it up, take it down? Let YouTube demonetize it. You're not that focusing on AdSense is not where you're going to make money. If Nelk was so careful to make sure that they got AdSense from every single YouTube video, they would never be Nelk. They would never be full send.
There'd be a cap on where you can go.
It would be, if you are beholden to that, you are lost. The Nelk full send is as big as it is because they said fuck it, and now they have a massive following, subscription service. I mean, we just talked about all the stuff they do. Barstool, if they gave two shits what people said about them, like, they would never be Barstool. I mean, it's just that all of these are examples of that. So, like, maybe people are going to get upset because I'm talking about Barstool and Nelk, but, like,
sure, right. I mean,
think of a better example of people leveraging audience to success.
at that scale.
At that scale. I mean, it's like, so
Becoming more than there's levels to this shit, right?
For sure.
First, you are just a creator with one niche type of content.
Yeah.
And you build a fan base. Then maybe you start doing merch, right? And now you have a brand. And then you start getting other people under you, and you're starting to build this empire, this collective brand that is bigger than you. And then you get to the point where you're a media agency. You can become your own platform. There's no limit to what you can do now with the power of the internet and the way things are moving so quickly.
But you don't create that without authenticity.
Sure.
You can't do it. I mean, Logan Paul's another good example. Jake Paul's a good example. Like, they're making tens of millions of dollars fighting washed up fighters. But they're authentic. I mean, maybe it's not for everyone. I'm a big boxing fan. I don't know if I love it for the sport, frankly, but like, I don't know if they're doing a lot of yabbering, but but I mean, good on them. Like, and Logan has built Maverick to massive success, and the Originals NFT that he's created is great. And Jake has his foundation that's really awesome. The boxing foundation, Beating Up Bullies, I think it's called. I might be wrong, but Boxing Bullies. Boxing Bullies, yeah. And that's phenomenal too. And so like these guys are able to create, so much success off of the back of these platforms. So like to sit there and care that this platform is going to demonetize or whatever because you maybe copyrighted 20 seconds of a song instead of 15 seconds, or like you said fuck or something, like
you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah. And maybe you don't say fuck. Maybe you're I say frick, damn, darn, or whatever. Like that's be you though. Like you gotta be you if you're gonna get in this game. If you think that if you find your spark to be something similar to this, then go, but be you. Don't be Logan Paul. Don't be Kyle from Nelk. Don't be Bryce. Be you. So
and I like just put it out there. The concept of just put it out there, whether it's content or anything in life. Right now, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting it out here. Right?
Yes,
I've been threatening for months now to do this. Bryce, you have to do this. You want to do this, right? And it's scary.
Yeah.
Right. Especially, I mean, for me, this is step number one. Yeah. Right. I could imagine that Spark Seekers, right?
Step number one.
The original sign right here.
Sign number one.
Handmade by yours truly. Yep. So, putting it out there is this concept that I think most people are very afraid of, because you think about what are people going to think, whether it's your friends or your audience, your family. And again, everyone has talked about this. Gary Vee is the biggest proponent of fuck what everyone thinks. Just start, man. Yeah. Just start, right?
Which sounds easier said than done, sure. But like, I can tell you from example, from working with the people that I've worked with, if they didn't start, they wouldn't be where they were. Yeah. I mean, you can say that for anything. Like, I really want to get into coding. Okay, well, take a class. Yeah. How to type in on Google how to learn to code. Yeah. Do that. Yeah. How to create content. I'll tell you how to create content. Take your phone, turn it around, and go, hi, I'm such and such. Yeah.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? So like that's all you need. You need a what's up, everybody, and then we're here today at the grocery store. Yeah. Yeah. Just do that, and and little by little, you find a groove. You find whatever it is, man. You find a spark. Yeah. You find a spark.
Love that.
And it takes you from there.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good stopping point. Chris, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man.
Holding my hand, walking me through my first podcasting experience, making sure it was all set up and easy and good to go.
That's the idea.
Definitely be doing this again.
Yeah,
you're the man, brother.
You're the man, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you for starting. Man, I love this concept. I think you're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of success with this, and you're a hell of a podcaster as well.
Thank you.
I should know. I know a thing or two about podcasting.
Let's go.
So yeah, man. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man.